So I think what I'm going to do is the next technology is going to be for hydrophone. Oh no, sorry, depth charges. And then we'll start refitting the destroyers, because I'm assuming that they don't have depth charges with depth charges. In the meantime, we need to choose which kind of submarine we want to use. The K-type or the N-type. Level 1, 1 torpedo. Level 1, 1 torpedo. Okay, they are actually identical. Sorry, the K or the H. N-type is an improved sub. You can't upgrade to it. Different type of hull. So there's no difference in the submarines. That's irrelevant. Why do we have two different types of subs? They're the same thing. Destroyers, that's what I was trying to look at. You do have anti-sub, even though we haven't actually researched it. You're also quite a heavy torpedo boat. And you do have hydrophones, though in the wrong slot. So yeah, we'll probably end up rejigging the Crusader class. This is a good screening ship. It's not a very good escort ship. It's too expensive with so many torpedoes. Jackson has redeemed a shout-out. Jackson, mighty Jackson, I am very glad that you are here today, and you definitely deserve a big hail from everybody in chat. So chat, I would like to see you hailing Jackson, the magnificent, magnanimous, excellent Stonewall Jackson. There we go, we're calling you Stonewall, because he was an awesome general. And whenever I see Jackson, I always think Stonewall. So there you go. Hello, Jackson. Poet, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you very much for the 16 months of your support and also everything that you do as a moderator and more importantly in the European Universalis Community Clashes, the admin. Thank you, really. Everything you do is so very much appreciated. You're awesome. Thank you. And Historical Kill coming in with a 10-month resubscription. Thank you very much for that, Historical Kill. One good thing about being out with the flu is able to watch Mordred live. Hooray! Faceless wants you to be named. Okay, I can definitely name you the Pride of the Fleet. That is indeed reasonable. Do we have a Pride of the Fleet? We don't. Well, we can make one. I think it needs to be either the Magnificent, the Majestic, or the Victorious. Which would you prefer to be? We'll rename it. And Legal Drug Dealer, thank you very much for continuing the gift sub as well. Very much appreciate that too. You'd like the Magnificent. That seems reasonable. Alright, so we're going to make you the Pride of the Fleet. It's costing me political power though, right at the beginning of the game. Ah, fine. We're going to call you the HMCS Faceless. There we go. Wait, that didn't actually cost me any political power. Okay. We got a free Pride of the Fleet. Anqing took 5 states, Left Kuomintang took 2, Shanqing took 3, and Nanjing have been annexed. GG, League of 8 provinces. Germany is going to struggle, and Germany's Asia is going to struggle even more because of it. Status of the Privy Council. The British government in exile has operated on emergency powers for the last 10 years, existing without elections and unable to exercise legal influence outside of the states of the King's Privy Council. Recently, however, there have been indications that Prime Minister Austen Chamberlain's time is up. Many exiles see him as partly responsible for the loss of the Home Isles and have been urging King Edward to replace him. We could push the King to appoint a more moderate candidate, however, somebody more likely to work with the Canadian government. We could also urge the King to call for an election amongst the exiles in Canada, though how much of a legal mandate that would give the new Prime Minister is questionable. Still, it's more democratic than an appointee. Well, the Privy Council is an appointed position. They are the king's advisors, so I don't think that should be elected. So we can pick Chamberlain's replacement. Influence of the British exiles will increase. We gain more support. And we get Henry Page Croft coming in. He's a nationalist firebrand. Reduces our political power, increases war support, increases division attack. We can go for the moderate candidate, Robert Cecil, who will give us political power and recruitable population factor. However, exile influence will decrease. Or we can hold a vote. Anthony Eden comes in. Division recovery, stability. Okay, he's quite good for the stability stuff. However, that does make the market liberals more influential. It doesn't change the influence at all. That's a scary sounding name for a ship. It kind of is, isn't it? It only costs political power to remove the price. Oh, that could be. It's fun. Feeling a bit iffy today, so quit work early. Hoping my stomach settles down. No fever temperature, though. Well, I hope you get better soon. I'm kind of leaning towards Chamberlain's replacement. We're going to buff up the exiles even further, so we can just keep on ticking over their bonuses. Although this is going to mean that the British exiles are going to be incredibly influential, which I don't think is necessarily a problem. Alright, new national focus. Let's do the Imperial Conference. No, let's do Fate the Senate, because again, I'm trying to save up political power, because I'm pretty sure that's going to cost. The Canadian Senate consists of appointees by sovereign, which, since the fall of the United Kingdom, have consisted almost entirely of British exiles. Actually, exiles is already high. It's going to take a full year to direct the exiles, and the election's going to be before then. So I think we probably should do the Senate now. Canadian Senate consists of appointees by the sovereign, which since the fall of the United Kingdom has consisted almost entirely of British exiles. Considering the Senate has ultimate control over bills passed by the House of Commons, has the time come to finally enact Senate reform? Yes. I think that this can actually be used to possibly make the Canadians like us a bit more. Because we're still going to be ticking up another influence. The House of Commons has issued a writ of election calling for general elections to be held in October this year. Both the Liberals and the Conservatives have already begun campaigning, and the general sentiment is that the election will be an important one. Does the country push hard towards a confrontation with the Union of Britain, or does it take a more cautious approach and focus on building up Canada's strength and that of the other dominions? The Liberals favour the latter, while the Conservatives and the British exiles heavily favour the former. May the best party win. Right, we could also mobilise. No, we're not doing that. Not just yet. How long till the technologies become available? The First International Congress. Delegates from the socialist nations, political movements around the world gathered in Paris today for the latest in a series of world congresses. While the mantle of the Third Internationale is taken up by the Communards after the Russian Civil War, the ideological tenor of the event promises to be very different. We haven't had Black Monday yet. No, we haven't. So I got hit by Black Monday before Black Monday even started. No, I haven't. This hasn't been modified. So that seems to have been a buggy event. Black Monday did... No, we never got the event because I never got the... Mein Gott! With the recently degraded state of the West Indies economy causing an organised labour movement within the region, this has been cause for some concern on our part. The Canadian people have always felt close to those within the West Indies Federation due to the similar upbringing from a colony to a British-led federation, increasing their desire for a formalised search into the region and its problems. This has resulted in the formation of the Moyne Commission, expected to go around to each colony within the Federation and see exactly what their problems are, starting in the colony of Guyana. The officials in charge of this are Walter Guinness, the first First Baron of Moyne is the lead, Dr. Mary Blacklock, who works as the tropical medicine, Professor F. Engeldow, whose expertise in agriculture, economist Hubert Henderson, Sir Percy McKinnon, who is representing the Canadian financial interests, female liberal politician Cara Taylor Castleman, noted anti-socialist trade unionist Walter Citrine, first Baron Citrine, and first Conservative politician, finally Conservative politician Ralph Assheton. Together, their objective is to investigate the problems in the West Indies, starting a week from now. Let's hope our warriors are unfounded. Yeah, but we never had the event saying that Black Monday hit. We only had the event saying the depression got worse, but we never actually got the modifiers for it. This should be 30% consumer goods, 30% construction, 30% factory output, and it's not. And also, Germany doesn't have it. There's no Black Monday here. But they're doing Aftermath. National spirits aren't sticking. National spirits only show in the first row now. So are you limited in how many you can view? That's showing 6. That's showing 6. 3. 3. 6. You're right. So maybe Germany does have it, it's just not showing. Black Monday effects, 20%. So they're being affected by it, it's just not showing up as a national spirit. Well, that's a pretty big bug. I mean, as long as the effects are still occurring, then good. But yeah, national spirits are not updating. That's going to make this challenging. Pius XII elected as the new Pope. Catholic faithful in Rome breathed a sigh of relief as the Sistine Chapel's chimney billowed forth white smoke, signifying the election of a new Pope. A short time later, it was announced that the pious and popular Eugenio Cardinal Pacelli has become His Holiness Pope Pius XII. That's not... That is. Of course it is. Why do I even need to check that? It's so obviously just going to be him. Hey, Marshall. Bennett accuses the Liberals of inaction. Gordon Bennett. With the... Wait. Is this actually Gordon Bennett? Because his name is GB... Oh no, it's RB. Never mind. I thought it was GB Bennett. With the effects of Black Monday still being felt in Canada, RB Bennett has taken the offensive and accused Mackenzie King and the Liberals of gross inaction. Not only on the economic management of the country, but on what he suggests is an inevitable war that will determine the fate of not only Canada, but the entire world. Canada, he says, should be pushing hard for the coming war and suggests that if we fail to do so, the Entente shall be caught once again in a weak and indefensible position. Considering the large crowd he attracted in his latest speech in Halifax, there are a number of Canadians who agree with him. Is that so? Well, we are now up to 50% popularity to King's 30. Gordon Bennett was a general. Okay. It's annoying not to be able to see the national spirits become a Mordred. You played Kaiserreich, so like me, you know what the national spirits are by heart. Yes, but I have not played since the update. So Canada, for example, are going to have different ones. Russia is going to have different ones. America demands the war debts. It came to us as a surprise to the Canadian government, but the ambassador from the United States has demanded the Canadian government immediately begin repaying the war debts incurred by the British Empire during the Weltkrieg. While the Americans are gripped in an economic crisis, one Canada has, to an extent, avoided, they know that the Canadians can never repay the debt, not all at once, at least. Though the old United Kingdom was on its way to repayment, there was a tacit agreement after the British Revolution that the debts wouldn't continue to be repaid until the home islands were recaptured. For the Americans to demand it now, they must either be desperate or be catering to a more warlike and isolationist element in their government. Don't even get a choice, just like, no! The 1936 Stanley Cup. Two teams have made it to the 1936 Stanley Cup finals, the Toronto Maple Leafs making their 6th appearance and the Detroit Red Wings making their 2nd appearance and still hungry to win the first cup. With only a brief interruption at the first game in Detroit, with demonstrators by the Socialist Party of America disrupting proceedings outside the stadium, the series has gone off without a hitch, captivated audiences in both countries, who will take home the cup this year. Come on, Toronto. They can have the war debt in the form of New England when you allow its return. Ah. Toronto wins the Stanley Cup. Toronto has vanquished Detroit in the 4-game series of the Stanley Cup, bringing the Canadian team to the 4th victory in the finals. Once again, the kid line of Charlie Conasher, Harvey Busher-Jackson and Joe Primeau has brought the Stanley Cup into Toronto. Oh Canada, our home and native land. Huzzah! 406 Mob, thank you very much for the gifted sub to Razil. Razil, congratulations on the gifted sub. Very much appreciate that. 406 Mob is paying forward the gift they got from Kickass. Is that a thing? That's a cool thing. I like this thing. They're clearly desperate, looking for an external enemy due to the issues at home. Yeah, I strongly suspect that that's probably the case. Alright, fate of the Senate. Since the arrival of the exiles to Canada, King George V appointed many of their numbers to the Canadian Senate, mainly as rewards for valiant service in the defence of the Empire. Since King Edward's ascension, the appointment of exiles has continued, to the point where the Senate is often referred to as the Canadian House of Lords. Many members of the government are saying that the time has come to insist on Senate reform, passing a law requiring senatorial appointments be confirmed by the House of Commons. Considering the Senate has the power to reject bills, this could result in a showdown with the King, unless he decides that it's better not to anger the government of his host country while in exile. So we can say we need reform. Urge the King to appoint more Canadians, regain stability and political power. Or it's the King's prerogative to choose what he wants. Influence of the British exiles will increase. Authority and Democrat increases and we gain a bunch of political power. No, we're going to appoint more Canadians. Definitely. Okay, it is now time for the Imperial Conference. There has not been a gathering of the Dominion since the fall of the Home Isles, but it's been decided that now is the time. Even if Canada is at the head of the table instead of the United Kingdom, the Dominions must prepare to work together if there is any hope for defeating the Syndicalists. Allowing the Commons' influence just removed the purpose of the Senate to be a balance of power against the Commons. It's not the Commons, though. It's just allowing more Canadians in. To a body which is currently representing Canada. I think that's fair. King Edward VIII is the first British monarch not to be coronated within the halls of Westminster Abbey. Instead, royal planners held an elaborate ceremony in the Christchurch Cathedral, Ottawa's largest Anglican church. There, the Archbishop of Canterbury, himself a British exile, performed the rite to be expected by tradition, while a throng of media paying close attention to every move. Rather than making his first public appearance afterwards on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, King Edward instead appeared on the balcony of Rideau Hall, the official royal residence, where he was greeted by a throng of enthusiastic Canadians. Gains stability, his popularity goes up, and he is now free to go on tour or take other actions. Okay. So his popularity is high, and the influence of the British exiles is also high. So we could do the Canadian Royal Tour, which will increase his popularity even further. We can support the Prime Minister, which will increase market liberalism, which we don't want to do. Or we can do a royal address to the Entente. We're going to do the tour. I want to see if it can go to very high. I suspect it probably can. And this also increases our stability and war support, which is a good thing. Speaking to a large and wildly enthusiastic crowd in the capital, King Edward VIII commended the Canadian contribution to the Entente and kicked off a 3-month tour of the country. King Edward is expected to meet with all manner of dignitaries throughout the Dominion of Canada. Indeed, there are so many clamouring for royal attention, the King's staff has reportedly been overwhelmed with requests. Each stop on the King's itinerary is expected to have huge crowds, with a massive parade planned in southern Ontario in the King's honour. Canadian officials are extraordinarily pleased with the King's visit, and it seems that every effort to roll out the red carpet for him has been... Every effort to roll out the red carpet for him will be spared. Surely you don't want to spare any efforts. No efforts will be spared. Edward VIII begins a 3-month tour of the Dominion of Canada. Effects of the Royal Tour. Anqing declared war on left Kuomintang. I think I've actually been saying that wrong. It's Kuomintang, I believe, at least according to Indy and the Time Ghost team. Annie Kenney elected chairman of the TUC. The 1936 Trade Union Congress in the Union of Britain was made out to be decisive. Long-time chairman of the TUC, Philip Snowden, declared his resignation, causing the 4 major factions of the Union, Maximists, Autonomists, Federationalists and Congregationalists, to butt heads over the position. The CCF appeals to the unemployed. The recently formed Cooperative Commonwealth Federation Party, led by J.S. Woodsworth, has been making large gains in the polls as Woodsworth speaks to groups of unemployed labourers and factory workers throughout the country. The party's democratic socialist platform has resulted in accusations of it being funded and run by syndicalist sympathisers, but its message of alleviating the suffering of farmers and workers under capitalism has hit a chord even so. Regardless, its popularity seems most concentrated in Western Canada, and the idea that it might have a chance of forming a government is remote. Democratic socialism in the true north? Never. I wanted to get the hydrophones, but actually I need to get concentrated industry going. So we're going to get concentrated industry going first. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we fix that one. Oh, crap. We get infrastructure, don't we? Hold on. Add to infrastructure. Where? Oh, in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and one other. So actually, the infrastructure I've been doing should be like that. And yeah, that's another 2. So yes, I'm glad I did that. Research slot. Oh, that just gives us technology. Radio? Okay. This will reduce the Great Depression. That's, whoops, excavation. I forgot that you can zoom that now. And yeah, we can develop a bunch of stuff. Okay. Is it just me, or is Mordred louder than usual? I don't think I am. Just checking to see if I'm peaking or anything. I'm not even in the red. Maybe you're hearing leveled up overnight. I like how they have an actual left-wing in Canada and show that socialism does exist and appeals to some Canadians. Pre-war update Canada made it seem like Canada was not sympathetic to the socialists. True, but I suspect it's going to be a very, very small portion. I mean, Social Democrats, I think, is fair enough. Anqing Clique took 6 states. Shanqing, Chango have been annexed. So China is beginning to consolidate, and Anqing is doing well. They're up against the left Kuomintang, so Anqing's going to be a powerhouse. Perception +1, congrats. I don't think I'm any louder. Okay, I can double check my microphone settings. Except that I can never remember how to do this. Manage sound devices. Nope, that's not it. Why did they make this so complicated? Device properties. Nope. There's like 2 sets of Windows settings now for microphones, and I can never find the one I actually want. Sounds normal, sounds usual. Okay. Must just be you, Marshall. Sorry. The Moyne Commission returns. The Moyne Commission has officially returned today, and the news is not especially pleasant. We have received reports that they refer to as slavery in a different form, with the plantation economy still being the main form of development within the islands. Among this, there are still other problems. The United Fruit Company promoted prostitution in Jamaica, class divides in Guyana between the Indo and Afro-Guyanese, oil spilling in Trinidad and Tobago. Walter Guinness himself said that this generation is suffering from a century of neglect from the Empire, and they expect the West Indies government to handle the problems immediately. Needless to say, many Canadians are disgusted with the happenings in West Indies, and those that they see as very similar to them in many ways. It has left a stain on the Imperial family and the current government, one that the West Indies will hopefully erase for us soon. Compromise with America. There has been a break in the Chile relations with the American government since the demand for the debt repayment. They've approached us with an offer, economic assistance now, and an agreement to increase trade with the Entente in exchange for the rest of the debt being delayed until the home isles are retaken, which was, to point out, the original deal to begin with. It might in a way restore goodwill between the southern neighbours, and even help them, though some are suggesting there's no point in shoveling our limited funds into a bottomless pit. America is lost, they say, and we should look to our own first. No, I will absolutely compromise. I've been saving our political power for a reason, and it's just that type of reason. And there we go, national focus has been completed. The Imperial Conference in 1936, with the 8th Imperial Conference getting ready to begin. The Prime Minister should consider what our focus should be. Should we advocate that the Dominion of Canada is best suited to retaking the home isles as soon as possible, or should we instead focus on improving the various dominions of the Empire, so they are better prepared for war in the long run? Canada is key, which gives us a temporary bonus. Or we must first improve the other dominions. We're going to improve the dominions, 100%. They'll like us more, which means better trade, more political power, and they get bonuses. And I suspect that those bonuses are permanent. The Imperial Conference of 1936. Today, the Imperial Conference begins with leaders representing the remnants of the British Empire gathering in Canada. After an opening ceremony headed by the Prime Minister Henry Page Croft, head of the British government in exile, the Prime Minister of Canada is the first to speak, giving a rousing speech. The British Empire cannot be called British without liberating our fellow Britons of the horrors and tyranny that exists within those so-called Union of Britain. Towards that end, he called on all dominions to support Canada in building up the strength to meet the challenge. Bravo, Prime Minister. We can't do this until the general election, so we may as well begin the Crown Corporations right now. Enterprises founded and run by the state, so-called Crown Corporations, allow us to develop and maintain access to strategic resources and expertise that might otherwise be neglected or ignored by the market. Sadly, not every industrial magnate sees the use of investing in wartime resources. At least for now. Begin. The British Indian delegate speaks. The next to speak is the delegate from the Dominion of India, who gives a speech about the dire need for investment and capital funds. The British exiles have channeled so much of their funds into helping Canada through the Great Depression. He feels that perhaps some of this should be spared to assist the British Indian economy. They gain imperial investment.